Greenberg here with my main man, the CEO and founder of Quasar Markets, Stephen Orr. Steve, how are we doing today?
I'm good, Howard. The sun is shining down here in Florida, and look, we've had some big news coming out. I'm gonna let you get to that, but the biggest news last night, I think, was Frontier and Spirit Airlines. I think Spirit Airlines is going to be okay here with merging with Frontier.
Yeah, hopefully for sure. I saw you broke that news real quick to us over at Quasar. We definitely have seen the stock. Let me pull it up here. Saved, move up tremendously here on that news. Good to see that. It was funny as I was looking for my pumpers I do here in the morning. Save was one of the ones actually on the list because it is up tremendously here. Um, you know, I guess my question on this though is while this is good because they need any kind of infusion of capital they can get and any kind of things that does this, the FTC wouldn't allow them to merge with JetBlue because partly that they said that was decreasing the amount of options in that category. To me, this does the same thing though, right? So are we gonna see your girl Lena Khan get in there and boo-hoo this one because same type of situation. You're gonna get two you know value companies merging into one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Lena Khan will have her nose stuck on this one too. It looks like she wants, but look, at some point you got to stop. You got to let ingenuity, and you got to let the let mergers and acquisitions happen because, quite frankly, if you don't, we're going to see a massive issue here. So,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm thrilled for it. I've told you they're one of the few brands that actually flies here into the Dayton area on a regular basis and goes direct to big cities that I want to go to. So I am happy to see it. I will say though, it is still very early in the process there, and they still need to figure out how to refinance about 1.1 billion in debt before the end of December. So. Those are sort of things to still keep in mind there. Steve, seeing more people that are, yeah, that are not, that are looking for a pullback. So seeing more people looking for a pullback here. Um,
yeah. I got reamed on social media because I am saying that the market's going to pull back, and here all of a sudden, now everybody's saying it. Like I like being early. I don't like being late to the game. I've said that. I've said that I want to be the ticker every single time. When people are rushing to the door to get in, I want to be the person that's selling them. When they're rushing to get out, I want to sit there on the sidelines taking their stock. I am watching as the markets will pull back. It looks like the beginning of this is starting to happen now. I had a long chat last night with several people in New York, saying the same thing. Like, see, we're trying to get out as fast as possible without upsetting the apple cart here. That was a quote, and I'm like, well, that's good. I'm sitting on the sidelines, and I'll just sit here and wait. For me, you're already seeing cracks in the mold a little bit. Yeah, some earnings are coming out good, and people are saying that. But guess what's not coming out good, and that's guidance. I think
right.
guidance is the key here, and everybody's nervous about the future. What I had one call that was very nervous about the election, and I was like, "Well, why are you worried? It doesn't really matter who the president is." And they're like, "No, it really doesn't matter who the president is for 95% of it." But what they were worried about was and I said this last week, I'm saying it again this week, and what they're now saying is that geopolitical issues might start to overtake our own domestic issues, meaning that issues happening in Israel and issues happening in China. And of course, you saw last night when North Korea gave troops to Russia to fight in Ukraine against us. Uh, the world, the bipolar world that we're living in, is getting a little bit more interesting. And you saw Vladimir Putin yesterday talking about this multicultural world that he's building for the BRICS. Wow, maybe the world is splitting apart, and that's not a good sign. So, yeah, I think that's what they're more worried about than, and you're seeing it now with the dollar. Look at the Dixie this morning, breaking back to 104.48 now. So, yeah, um,
I
The
have
money
to
is
laugh, Steve. You're hitting on like my, and you didn't see that email I sent to our man Stephen Flanagan this morning,
okay.
but you literally have just hit on every single item that I am trying to, that I'm going to talk to him about today at 10 o'clock. Is
Yeah.
Steve's our man when it comes to those type of things, and we have bricks next week. I want to know what he thinks there. He absolutely nailed that DXY call, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you know, DXY at 104.47. Oh, I guess he didn't nail it. He said 104.50.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So, look, I don't bet against Steve Flanagan. I mean, when you look at currencies in general, you have that many years, almost 40 years, probably more, I think, running a desk and being head of a desk for a better part of that. Why would you even think about going against that? So, when I look at social media and I smile and I go, wow, okay, yeah. Um, I've been watching the show on TV, Howard. Young Sheldon. He talks about how he created his first, back when there was 300 baud modems, and he was on a BBS, and he was back and forth with two people, and because it was keyboard warriors, he was calling it right back then, saying, look, I get it. People have opinions on the markets, but I don't want to go against the big money. I'm not. I don't. I want to be there with them, and I want to have thoughts and theories and theses long before they do. I want to see things that they don't. But when you go against the grain, I guess the old adage, "the trend is your friend." There's a reason for it, right? When I
Absolutely.
hear price dictates, yeah, I go, "Yep, you know what? Price does dictate." But there's a time when people get nervous and scared, and I tell people, "Price is cool. Your precious stock charts are cool." Which I like charts too. Most people know that.
Yes.
Your news is cool, but you know what's not cool if you don't understand it is psychology. You need to understand psychology more than anything in this market. And right now, the psychology is people are nervous, and that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing from everybody. And then when the psychology gets too crazy, then they start voting with their pocketbooks. As I always say, votes and words don't vote; people vote, right? So when you look at this, they're nervous about the markets. They don't know what to do right now. So yeah, I'm seeing that.
Whoops. I'm trying to put up a chart here that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about. I put this up. I don't know if you saw the infographic already on Quasar. This is
Yeah.
corporate insider buying. It's hit its lowest level since
And
2021.
I would also go, you're absolutely right. I'll tell you, I'll take you to the level of that. Corporate insiders selling is at the highest it's seen. And the markets are at what we call a 90-year optimistic position here. The markets are literally 90 years. We haven't seen this much optimism in a market in 90 years. I don't want to be the person that's sitting at the top there going, still buying and buying the dip, and you're gonna buy a dip, all right. You're gonna buy a dip all the way down. And
Yeah,
this,
and the other part that I looked out is that asset managers' net long positions in the S&P is at all-time highs. So there isn't maybe as much powder to go into that market that we've talked about, right?
right,
Sitting on the sidelines. So it's getting allocated. So those are a couple of things I noticed in some reports here that I was looking at this morning. I wanted to get your take on. But those were two that definitely caught my eye. I also saw that the equity put call ratio hit its lowest in over a year.
yeah.
So, again, we're seeing people, even though the S&P is at its highest mark, I think those are being, hedged heavily to the downside, right?
And where's the alpha in that, right? You need to, if you're looking for alpha, where are you going to find it? Is the market going to go higher? Okay, they might. I'm not going to say they're not going to go higher. They might actually, but I don't like investing in things that when they're this high. It's too much. It's way out of whack, and we're not seeing that in the earnings. Earnings are coming in. They're coming in mixed. They're not coming in strong. And the geopolitical issues are still there. We just talked about that. But if you're asking me where I'm looking to invest, I'm investing on the short side. I don't like this market. I don't like where it's at. And I know a lot of people say, okay, buy the rumors, sell the news. All right, if you're buying the market because Trump's the president and he becomes president, then what? If you're buying the market because Kamala Harris is going to be the president, then what? Right? If she wins. I'm not betting on that. I'm not betting on either one. I don't care. What I care about? I care about where the liquidity is, and liquidity
Right.
right now is kind of showing me to the downside. I'm seeing a lot more people looking. I don't. It's like it's. I always say all the time. It's kind of like the Price is Right, where the mountain climber is going up the hill and the sell off is going to be strong. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I can argue with any of that that you have there. Got another weird question for you. Looking at Treasury,
Mm.
and I'm seeing the Treasury bonds, which are normally the safe investment, and high yield bonds are normally risk magnets. But don't tell that to the markets right now because we're seeing junk bonds holding up, even as long term Treasuries starting to move down. So again, that's another question I'm going to have for
They're
Sean
looking for
Flanagan
alpha.
later.
They're looking for
Okay,
alpha. It's what it is, you know. Look, they're willing to have a little bit of risk, but they're willing to risk it in businesses, right? They want to risk it in money that they find it to be a little bit on the edge. Okay, and I'll buy it. Because why? Because if a company fails, bond market money gets paid out first. So
right.
fixed income does, whether it's junk bonds or whatever. But you know, for me, look, I get it. I understand. They're trying to be safe and still have a little bit of risk on. But that tells you everything. It should tell you that they're pulling money out, not putting money in. And you're right, but still cash on the sideline is still at the highest levels. You are still seeing some buying from the IRAs and 401k. We talked about that a few times now. And you know what? Here comes every other Friday. Tell me what's going to happen in the market, right? On that those when the money goes in from IRAs. But to me, I don't like this market. I don't like anything about it. And I think what you're going to see is I think you're going to see some selling, and I think by the time people realize it, it'll be too late, and they're going to wake up one morning and the market's down 4 or 5%, and they'll be like, "What happened?" The rug pull, and I'm going to tell you.
Sure.
Some of these companies that are holding up the markets, McDonald's down today based on a news issue. Boeing saying they got to change their systems and their
Right.
culture. That's a problem. These are massive companies in the Dow Jones, right? You're seeing places going, there's cracks in the armor here. What do we do, right? And for me, that tells me everything. So yeah, Starbucks yesterday, same thing, not that good of earnings. Uh, this is a growth company that has missed on earnings twice now. So,
Yeah, let's get into some of these because we did have some pretty big earnings come out. I'd like to go through and take a look at a couple of those. You just brought up Starbucks here. I have it
yep,
up on the screen. You can see down, almost 4% here after the news. I did see their CEO talk about that it's too hard to go order a drink there almost, and that the customer shouldn't have to work that hard to get it. I know that I always felt that it was a snotty place to go to. I'm a tough judge though because I'm a Dunkin' Donuts guy growing up in Boston. But I don't see people. I asked my wife, who's a big coffee person, and I said to her, do you go to Starbucks as much as you used to? And she was clearly in the no stage. I think that they have some definite headwinds in front of them.
yeah, I agree with that. And when you see that, you're going to have. I think the first thing you need to look at is what does the company itself do, right? Are they looking to create new types of revenue? I know that when Starbucks started to falter with their coffee, they started selling cups. They started selling their mugs, and they did well with that, right? And that became one of the biggest sellers was their
Right.
mugs.
It carried
Um,
them for a while. You're right.
it carried them
Merchandise.
for a while, right? And okay, now everybody's got their mugs, now everybody's got everything. Now what? Are you going to combine?
It's
That was
funny
one
you
thing.
actually asked that. No, what I actually think might be a good move by them is that the CEO said they need to get a deeper focus back on coffee.
Yes,
They
I
need
agree
to
with
have baristas that are good, that have the time to do like the fancy thing and put the little heart on your cup because, I know, out here in Ohio I don't have as many choices, but when I was in DC, I used like a lot of the local companies. I loved Compass as a local roaster in DC that has shops. And like you
that.
saw,
Mhm.
they would put like a little heart or, during St. Patrick's Day, a shamrock or something in your cup. And I always thought it was cool because I have no talent, even with my culinary skills. I can't do that at all. So
Well, I'll
something
make
I
it very
liked.
clear for you, Howard. I don't like coffee. I think, yeah, I
Well,
don't
I was just
drink it.
told I have to cut coffee out of my diet,
There you
unfortunately.
go.
So,
See, I've done
so
that for years.
Starbucks
I
is in
know.
trouble from my side. You
And
just
I've
went
said
into
this.
something else that I want to bring up, though, moving a little bit off from Starbucks into McDonald's. We started to mention
Yeah.
them. Of course, big problem with McDonald's, the E. coli breakout. Those are the things that are tough. I have a culinary background. I have a degree in food
Yeah.
safety. I have no concerns personally going to McDonald's and buying a quarter pounder today. You have just as much worry, just so our viewers know, buying lettuce at the store. Lettuce and vegetables are by far the biggest breeder of salmonella that there is. The way that they flood I don't want to go too far into it, but the way they floods the fields in times of drought lead to this a lot. We know we saw a lot of drought this
Yeah,
summer.
I mean, it's literally E. coli is feces.
Yeah,
We know that, and we
yeah.
know how it
It's
works.
an
They
offspring of
flood
the
the fields.
livestock.
Right, it comes in from the livestock, right? And it's really hard to sometimes be perfect. I think George Bush said it best, Jr. He said, in when it comes to terrorism, we have to be right all the time,
Yeah.
and they got to be right one time. Same thing here, right? When you clean the food, you got to be right all the time, and
Yeah.
inspections, and sometimes that one time slips through, and it sucks, and it's an
Yeah,
eye
and,
opener
and I'm
for a lot
not
of people.
making light of it because, especially we've seen what Boar's Head here on the East Coast is a huge brand out of
Yeah.
Philadelphia, basically almost shut down because of listeria and people,
Yeah,
people are dying
you
from
took
this.
my words out of my mouth. I mean, remember Bluebell? I like Bluebell ice cream
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They
yeah,
haven't come back.
Wisteria.
Yeah.
No, they had Listeria. Yep, and it was really bad. And look, these things happen, and it
Yep.
sucks. And there's also nefarious people out there that will want to taint our water or our food.
Yeah, sure.
Um, right. So there's always going to be an issue. But we're a big country. We have 360 million Americans here, and listen, it's a big country to feed. And food's not coming just from the United States; it's coming from everywhere in the world.
Right. Absolutely.
Um, but I will tell you this much, Howard: if there's ever a case for blockchain,
It is
food is a
food. It is what they
good
use it. You
right.
know this from being a board member at ABCA. But Walmart was the first company to use blockchain for food safety. They were able to trace if there was a problem like this, an outbreak
Then you're right where it was
from two and a
right?
half weeks to 2.5 seconds. Frank Giannis then went to the FDA, who was the person that instituted that. He's now just left the FDA. But he instituted blockchain there. They use it for food tracing. It is one of the best use cases of blockchain. What I wanted to bring up with McDonald's, my segue there was because I think I brought this up on the air a month or two ago. They're doing a lot of things to sell again, like memorabilia that
Right,
they
right.
weren't doing. I have a 3-year-old, so I know this because I have all the cups. In fact, I have one of them literally sitting right here. They did the cups. This one is with Shrek. But they're doing things with Crocs right now, and they're selling both adult and children sort of Happy Meals using that
Woo.
as a gauge. And I like the idea, but it makes me worry the same way as Starbucks. It's a crutch, you know what I mean? Because I can tell you from coming from the liquor industry, once a company came out with one flavor of a vodka or a rum, they were then forced to come out every year. So if you don't know that, the reason Bacardi now has 28 flavors of Bacardi is that once they did Limon, they sold X amount cases. They can't
Right.
get those cases back a year from now without kicking off a new product. So you get built into this thing, like you said with Starbucks, where I think that when they became so dependent on the sales of that merchandise, the Stanley Cups, the whole 9 yards, that now they're hitting problems because you can only sell so many cups.
It's interesting. I was just in Bermuda back in the summertime, and the Frog and Onion Pub is a very popular pub there in Bermuda. And they had for the kids, they had a Frog and Onion cup, and I asked to put tequila in it. Right? I mean, as an adult, we do those things,
Yeah,
right? We go, hey,
absolutely.
you know what? We like it. As a kid, going to McDonald's, with the minute Star Wars came out, I felt bad for my parents because I had to have every Star Wars figurine from
Yeah.
a
Oh
Happy
yeah.
Meal. But
Absolutely.
as things move along, Howard, I think the merchandising that McDonald's is having to do is cutting into those margins, right?
Yeah.
Listen. Let's talk about Beanie Babies. I mean, McDonald's had their best run in McDonald's history when they had the teeny Beanie Babies, right? My
Yeah.
parents sold Beanie Babies from their stores, and it was put me through put me through college. But look, when I look at the future of McDonald's, Is it gonna be based on Beanie Babies and Star Wars figures and Crocs and things? I don't think so. You still have to get back to the very basics of what
That's my
McDonald's does.
concern though.
Fast food,
That's
right?
yeah, is that they're trying to figure out any answer that there is, and part of it is using this merchandising to do it. So it's just
But
something I'm going to
but
keep
let
an eye
but
on.
let's go back to the beginning of all of this. What I've been arguing is that McDonald's is not gonna do well because of weight loss drugs. I mean, you avoid McDonald's like the plague when you're on weight loss drugs,
Sure.
for obvious reasons. I won't get into those, but, that's what McDonald's is gonna have to face. They gotta have more salads, and they're gonna have to and with salad comes issues, and
Yeah.
more tomatoes.
More
So
labor, more perishables. That's what you're trying to
correct.
cut down as a restaurant owner. Let's switch a little bit away from the food industry and get into Boeing.
Okay.
So we can see that Boeing, unveiled they had a $6 billion quarterly loss. But believe it or not, that is a beat.
Which is better than I thought was gonna
That's what I'm
happen. I
saying.
thought it
It's a
yeah,
beat. It's a
yeah.
beat. So I don't mean again to make light of a company is having some issues, but it's holding about even, not seeing much of a move here on the news. There, did you take anything away from what you've seen there so far? Today's the big day, right? They get the vote. It looks like hopefully it's gonna, end the strike,
Yeah,
but
the vote will pass. Look, Howard, if a company can go through a massive brand new airplane that's gonna change the world, that many issues, if the company can go through union issues and that the big union issues, if a company can go through a president really hating on them, if a company can go through issues of parts going bad and whistleblowers and the stock still holds up, that should tell you everything. Any
yeah.
good news and this thing goes.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Is today a day to buy Boeing?
I think the answer is still no.
Okay.
I think people still realize that is it for long term. If you're a long term holder and you're going to invest in Boeing, 100%. If you're
Okay.
looking to trade Boeing, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't
And I
trade
meant more
Boeing
from
based
that
on.
investing side. As you
Okay.
know,
Yep.
I like Boeing in my long term portfolio personally. I know you do
Yep.
also,
Yep.
for all these reasons. For
Yep.
all these reasons. And again, I'm not saying I'm gonna take a position today, but I just wanted to get where your feel was there. You know, I'm with you. I think of it, I want to see what happens today. I think the market is maybe set for another down day. And if we do, maybe we see this go down another point or two, gives me just a little bit of a better entry for a long term play. But I'll tell you, I started to set up a screener last night. We'll be using it a lot over the next few days. You'll see, looking at the stocks as they're starting to pull back towards important MA levels. I like things that bounce off 200-day MAs. I like things that bounce off 50 MAs. I know in the past you've taught me that, especially in COVID. We looked at a lot of those plays, right, as the pullbacks, as these things came. Make your wish list. So I'm starting to get together. I'll have for us in the next couple of days sort of Hondo's wish list. I'm going to ask you, once I get that screener up, I'll send it your way and take a look. And if you'll grab some that you like out of there, because you have a much broader width of stocks that you tend to look at than I do. As I'm newer into that, but I think this is the times to start to do that. Is that something that you tend to do? Do you put together these wish lists? You kind of look at stuff like that, and as you're waiting for a pullback?
Yeah, I think one that I'm looking for the pullback in, and I'm still bullish on the company is Nvidia. Look, they're doing well, but the CEO yesterday said that there's a design flaw in the Blackwell chipsets. That's not good because I really was big on Blackwell chipsets, and now to have a design flaw. Okay, they'll fix the flaw. We know that. That's not a big deal. And they'll fix all the old chips. Okay, great. But that stock gets back down to 110, 120, we'll do it again. Yeah, with some that news like that, that's an issue. Yes, I will have a wish list. I think one of those wish lists is Walmart, WMT, if it gets back down, because I think Sam's Club is doing amazing job there. And then I think, when I look at IBM, IBM has had a nice run. And I think IBM for a lot of ways is probably one that I'm also interested in if it comes back. But right now, I think it's a wait and see attitude right now for me. I just don't.
Yep.
There's the Nasdaq still falling here in the morning. I look, the sell off's not here yet, but the rug pull is on the way. It's coming.
Right.
If we start to hit some of these areas where funds are not comfortable, they'll start pulling them out. They'll start setting limit orders. They already have limit orders, but I'm still calling for a 10 to 20% pullback. We need a healthy pullback. This is not like some massive, but the rug pull will be nasty. It'll be nasty, and okay, we're gonna reset. Here we go. We're feeling better now. Let's go again, right? I think I posted this on social media. Look, if you're an investor, you're long term. The markets don't care about your politics, so we don't care about the
Right.
election, right? We care about going long term, investing in good quality companies to stop the meme stock stuff. Because I mean, I'm seeing now people starting to cry about the meme stocks again. Um, Good exact example of that. Look at SMCI this morning. I think down to almost, let's see, 45.97. So SMCI this morning 45.10, now down another 2%. If you go back, this was a $125 stock. SMCI has some issues, but if it holds here, I kind of like this.
Right.
Um, these are quality companies. You look at ASML. We talked about that not too long ago with some of the stuff they were doing, right? If look, 713.31. It's basing. It's starting to do. This is one of the biggest companies in Europe,
Yeah.
right? And so this was a $1,200 stock. So yeah, for me, this is definitely some things that I'm looking at, right? We've been talking about these for a while. I
Yeah.
do have a wish list, but we're not ready for it yet.
Okay. We're staying in chips. Qualcomm. Qualcomm getting hit here pretty hard.
Yep.
After yesterday came out that ARM, which is ARM, which is one of the company that's technology that Qualcomm uses in their chips, is basically giving them a desist, a cease and desist letter. They had bought the technology when they bought Nuvia, which was a company that had a relationship with ARM. ARM says that Nuvia's chips rely on their design and it didn't authorize their transfer of that technology to Qualcomm. So interesting one there again on a hefty pullback there. If there's, these are the type of bad news events that I'll be looking at. Qualcomm's a company I like. I know that they are not the sweetheart in the chips, but they do dominate that smartphone chip, and that's still a big business. They're not going away yet.
Yeah, I love it when Apple says, "Oh, look at our new M4 chip, our M23 chip, whatever the chips are today," right? Guess what? They're still using Qualcomm.
And even if
Qualcomm,
they're not, all the other companies are. So that's
right?
what I look at too, is on that one. So we are 1 minute out here. Let me get up my normal screen for us here so we can see QQQ down about a half a point going in. SPY down about 3/8. Dow looking to open on the downside. Also, a lot of that McDonald's. There, Bitcoin down to 66,471. I did call for a pullback yesterday
Yeah.
on Scott Bauer's show and on here. It did take that pullback, so I wasn't too surprised there by that. Everything still in play perfectly there. Nothing to worry about. Healthy levels. So, are you looking for a down day here today, Steve, or what are you thinking?
Yep. Yep. I'm looking for a down week too. I'm looking for a down next week too. Going into the election. Normally, the elections still scare people. There's still psychology. So yeah, I still feel like there's going to be some selling all the way through. Um, all right, we are open now
Here
here.
we go. Let's take a look at the tick.
I think we need to keep our eye here on what Starbucks is doing. Will Starbucks hold up here? I don't know. McDonald's I'm watching too as well. McDonald's down 7 now, down almost 7.5% here. So
Yeah.
if you want to take a swing at
McDonald's.
Mickey D's, the Golden Arches, I could probably see that. In fact, I think I might take a small swing here.
Okay.
A quick trade here, maybe. All right, I am looking at it now, keeping my eye on it. Not done anything
Trading at
yet.
291.87 right now. 292.42. It's got some volatility here.
291, 292. Okay, I
Almost
am
at
long.
about half its day volume already.
Correct. I am long here, Howard. My 292.60. Oh wow.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. Hold on here. 293.34. There we go. We've already got 293. Good Lord. Here we go. Um,
It's trying for sure here.
294. Okay, I gotta take some profit. 294.16. I think I'd be silly if I went. Oh my, 294.73. Holy moly. I'm out, Howard. Wow, that
Nice.
was goodness sakes. Yes, wow. Big day here. 292.61 to 294.54 is what I did.
Seeing the tick down about 347 here.
That was a nice move there. I had bought 400 shares here on that, and pulled out about $2 worth, so about an $800 move here, just like that. Ticket slipping still here. Look, Howard, I still don't like it, but I like that bounce to those buyers down there in the bottom, so that was nice.
Yeah, nice play there. See WTI's come back down a little bit here, 71.53.
Nasdaq now in the lows of the day here, continuing to sell off. Yeah, McDonald's now down 6.5. Oh, McDonald's trying to hold here. Verizon up 1.3% on that big sell-off yesterday. Boeing now down almost 3% now. So
A company
we argue.
I barely knew was still in existence, TXN, Texas Instruments, up
Oh,
2.88% today here
well,
on
Texas
an
is
earnings
doing quite
beats.
well actually.
Yeah.
You know, the sell-off here in Boeing might be a little overcooked. Yeah, it's a little overcooked, and I didn't get a chance to get that in fast enough there. Ron Williams talking about LRN this morning. There you go. Tick jumping now at 25 here. I had a feeling that that was probably some of the selling, early morning selling here. XAG, which is good old silver, just now right at the 34 handle here.
Northern Trust with a nice gap up here today on a huge earnings beat. They beat EPS by 27%, was expected to come in at $1.74 a share, came in at 222. They did also beat their revenue estimate of $1.92 billion of 1.976. So again, financial institutions continuing to have some of the strongest earnings out there, some of the ones moving in the right direction on earnings. Steve, you mentioned IBM. I did want to point out they do have earnings today,
Yep.
so we'll keep an eye on them here this morning.
I missed this move on Boeing here. I really I liked that sell off this morning there. We kind of said that this morning, right? I was like,
Yeah,
if it did get down there, then yeah, I think it would be. Now it's at 157. Ouch, I missed that one. I like that sell off this morning in that one.
let's see. We got our first stop of the day. ILLR about to come off stop. ILLR. That's stop to the downside. Though. Stop to the downside. That's the only thing so far. I did have my list here. I got a new screener I put in place that has a pretty cool.
Yeah,
List
I think we're
here.
not really seeing much here movement yet. Spot gold 27.50, 27.34 now here. Howard, gold 27.52 making an all-time high in the early morning session.
Wow.
Oil $1 a barrel in WTI there, but 10-year now at 4.2445. I was told on social media that just a blip. Just a blip. No, no, it's not a blip. We're seeing rates going right back up. We know that now. We know it because we're seeing the Fed not wanting to drop rates big, 50 basis points. I think it's 25. We're hearing it from Clarida yesterday saying the same thing. Mary Daly saying the same thing. So we now kind of know that 158.40, 55 now on Boeing. That was a nice little dip down there. I missed that dip. We're seeing McDonald's now also doing the same thing, trying to get back up to 295. Wow, look at that on McDonald's. There we go. Wow. But I like that. I like that pop this morning. Though I crushed that pop on McDonald's this morning.
Going to point out DJT over 35 here, up another 3.5% here, so that's showing some good movement still.
You know,
Seeing a little bounce back from China here too. JD up 1.73% today. Chinese e-commerce, Neo up 0.86. So it matters what day it is as to whether or not you like the China play.
and I don't. We're right now. Kramer's going crazy on CNBC again. Not really sure what he's talking about, to be honest with you.
Steve, your Nvidia down to 140, under 141 here.
I like to see it get a little farther down. I really need to see a little bit more, and I'd like to buy it back. And I'm still look at that McDonald's 296.24 now. Wow, that was a nice little dip buy on McDonald's. Hopefully you realize we're out there, we're listening when we got that one. Um, but I like that on that dip. Took that profit a little too. To me, I felt like the dip on McDonald's was tough and too far, and then took that profit. Why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that 10-year still pushing higher, still melting up. 4.2445%.
Tesla has earnings today trying to move up here now. It was negative off the open, now up about 0.18% at its high of the day. Now taking a little bit of step back to 1872.
The IMF gas bar, she was saying this morning, Gopinath was saying that the U.S. debt path cannot continue to rise forever, but is currently sustainable. The time for the U.S. to make fiscal adjustment is now. Like I said, it doesn't matter who the president is; they're going to have to do something about the debt. The debt is outrageous right now.
Yeah, our biggest expense is the government is servicing the debt.
Tick down 250 now. So here comes that next wave of selling.
Do want to point out again here on some of the earnings and things that we have movers this morning. Get to the right thing here. ENPH getting hit real hard here. Solar company down 15.21% here this morning. They had their numbers after close yesterday, and their solar panel and storage solutions posted third quarter earnings of 65 cents a share on revenue of almost 381 million, but well below the expectations of analysts at 78 cents a share on revenue and closer to 393 million on earnings there, on revenue rather. So they're getting hit real hard here. We did see some of that was hitting some of the other ones. Sunrun was getting hit. So was Solar Edge, Nova, and FSLR. So for those of you that do want to make a play into the solar area, you might get your pullback there today in a way that you wanted to see.
So you talked about this morning with Mr. Steve Flanagan. We hit that 104.50, by the way.
Yep, DXY, like I said, went right up to where he said it would. I have to ask him today. I have on deck to ask him what's next. What do we see next there?
You're seeing gold continue to slip here, 27.32 now. So starting to see some profit taking here.
Yeah, again, not surprising, right? You would expect to see a little of that. Tick still negative here.
The VIX is pushing a higher here.
Good big shit today. 1863 on the VIX. Yep.
I'd like to see McDonald's slip a little bit here again and maybe buy it back here.
Okay.
We are seeing the Nasdaq near the lows of the day here on the session. Let's see what we do here. Yeah, Nasdaq getting lower on the session here. Dow still pushing down the downside here, so down 273 points there, 274 now. So VIX is pushing up. Let's see where this market goes. If we see the VIX pushing just a little bit to the upside here, then I can totally see this happening. Yeah, 294.70, 294.73 now on McDonald's.
Wow.
It is basing here, 290. Yeah, it's basing a bit.
Here's one. The biggest mover on the day, Steve, is uh La Rosa Holdings. La Rosa Holdings. Is that La Rosa Pizza by me?
I don't think so. Still kind of quiet now after that move this morning. Cocoa, look at the cocoa, 74.92 down to the 3% today. So I think they're
Coco's
fine.
been, yeah, retracing here for a few days.
294.30, 294.23. I told you if it couldn't break to the upside, I think we should see a little bit of selling. 24.08. There you go. Now I just need to see it slipping even more here. There you go. 293.50 there.
Watching La Rosa Holdings here on a 1 minute chart. It breaks $1.40 here. Watch out. It's at $1.32 right now. It breaks $1.40. I'm gonna try to see what its upside looks like here.
I think McDonald's 293.69 now, 23.81.72.
Here goes La Rosa's here. If it can get 130, trying again. If it breaks 140 here, you got big upside towards 250. Could be one to play on a stop if it stops again. It did stop once at 935. See if we can get it on another one here.
I think McDonald's just, yeah. I think I might have missed that move again.
Got another new stop here. BSGM. BSGM. Let's take a look at that.
Oh, BSGM. Oh, yeah. That's Biosig. They just don't have enough, to me, and not enough.
Not volume. No volume there.
Yeah.
This is the one
Tick
to
now.
watch. LRHC. They got 17 million in volume so far. Here it goes. It's trying to break here. 138. I told you if it hits this 140, if it breaks above it, it's gone. Rejected twice at it here, though, in the 1 minute chart. If it breaks it, I'm watching this right here. It's trying. It's going to buy the sell wall up. If it buys the sell wall up, it's gone. Here it goes again. 139. Can't do it so far. Each retrace, though, has been higher. 131 here, 132. Definitely don't want to keep an eye on.
All right, Nasdaq now near the lows of the day, but the tick is on one, a positive by 191.
Hey, another one I've brought up as a pumper that keeps moving up. PHUN fun. PHUN, definitely one of the meme stocks here. Up about 20% today.
Bank of Canada is actually keeping their rate steady here, not lowering their rates here.
Also
They
seeing
cut They cut their key rate by 50 basis points to 3.75%. That's what economists expected. So Canada now at 50 basis points. Whew! Was 4.25, now 3.75. That should push our own 10-year up. Yeah, 4.24 here now.
Switzerland just cut its forecast for the budget deficit, so now they're only expecting a shortfall of about $1 billion this year. So moving in the right direction a little bit in Europe there.
Wow.
We are 15 minutes into the trading day here. We've
I
had
mean, the
big
fact
beat
that
already
Canada's
hit one.
the fact that Canada's cutting like this tells you everything. I think the big question tomorrow is Tesla. Are people continue to buying electric cars? You saw
We'll
two
find
hurricanes
out.
come through, right? Are they still buying electric cars?
Yeah.
There might be.
Tick has gone positive here finally.
Yeah, Boeing really showing its strength here, and I feel bad that I didn't get into that this morning. So on that dip, but is what it is. When a CEO tells you a culture change has to happen at a company, that bothers me.
Yeah, that was Starbucks. Yep.
No, I mean when Boeing CEO on CNBC this
Oh,
morning,
Boeing. Yeah,
they need a
yeah.
culture change. Like what the heck? Yeah, there we go. 160
Well,
now on
that's
Boeing. That's
I
fine.
think that's just political talk for hey, I'm throwing the other guy under the bus that was here before me.
Yeah, probably.
Because it is a new CEO. Let's see here.
It's kind of quieted down a little bit. The markets have.
Yeah, not really. And again, it's just sort of a seeing more news out on your Bank of Canada there keeps hitting. And by the way, there goes LaRosa, 148, 148 here. Looks like it's stopped again. Told you if it broke that 140, it was going to go.
McDonald's is struggling here at the 294 handle here, 24, 25. That's where people seem to be holding steady here. I saw this morning where Novo Nordisk in Denmark was using AI and NVIDIA chipsets to make new drugs.
Oh, wow.
That's to me is a big deal.
You brought it up, so now I have to stay there. So Norway, I did see. I'm trying to find my article here. Here it is. Their $1.8 trillion sovereign fund saying stocks are overvalued. So again, another company or another, huge player in the world there said that heightened uncertainty and concerns over economic outlook mean the stock market risks are tilted to the downside. And keep in mind, they are one of the wealthiest funds out there, managing $1.8 trillion in value. Well, looks like it's trying to find a base. ENPH down 13.79, so coming off the lows of the day there. Wow, look at Save, Steve. Playing like a meme stock, up 27.01. Although, actually, I mean, Save has been at times one of the Wall Street Bets plays. So
Yes,
I guess you
indeed.
can't really say acting like a
McDonald's
meme
pushing
stock
again,
because
trying
that's
to
so
get above
true. It
that
has been it.
295, 26 handle there. Can't get above the 26, but it might do it here. Might be nice. There we go. 25.73, 86, 22.95, 78, 84. Trying to get above that 296 handle. If it does it, McDonald's might move here. If not, right back down she goes. But Bank of Canada says that it expects inflation to remain close to target over the projection horizon, with upward and downward pressures roughly balancing out. Okay, 295.26. They couldn't get that 296 there on McDonald's. There's some selling there at 296 handle. Nasdaq now near the lows of the day here. 71.26 now on WTI as oil continue to push higher here.
Boeing now up on the day, almost 0.7%.
Yeah, I'm watching, definitely watching Boeing for sure.
AT&T also having a pretty good day here on an earnings beat, up
Yeah, and I mean, you're seeing
1.3%.
Verizon finally getting the green here since yesterday.
I will
Bank
point
of
out,
Canada says the GDP per person in Canada is expected to begin rising in Q1 of 2025. That's what I'm saying. Like even in Canada, the malaise is hitting over there too. So I really don't see it. Yeah, 161. We talked about that all morning long. If this is so bad and it's still holding up, then this is a buying opportunity. But I like it this morning. I missed that dip.
yeah, Boeing looking pretty good. McDonald's got back above 295 here, almost at 296, so it's starting to find a lift.
0.2525 now on the 10-year. Now the highs of the session here.
Wow.
They're still raising. 4.2526 now on the 10. Gosh, it's interesting there.
Yeah. Nasdaq at
Bit-
18,474 here.
Bitcoin
S
holding here in 63.6. I mean, that's you talk about Bitcoin, it's holding here.
Yeah, it's got some pretty decent support. It's shown between the 66.6, 66.3. So as long as it holds in that spot, it's not bad, not bad at all.
And Disney, we've been talking about Disney. Disney now turning green here. Disney now flat on the day. 34.07 now back on silver. So silver back above the 34 handle here. As
Yeah.
Nasdaq, yeah, Dow still down 244, the Nasdaq down 987, but still there,
Tick's
still
going
watching it.
flat here right now. Now even a little bit negative, so it looks like we're losing a little momentum maybe here.
VIX is dropping a bit here.
Yeah, 1857. That's pretty much no man's land there on VIX. Brent still 71.60. Amazon down, AMD down. Looks like we're going to get a little bit of a down day here overall. Airlines, Delta even getting a little bit of a push here on the news with Save, a little sympathy play there. MSTR back at 221. That one looks like it's going to challenge its all-time high. That's interesting because it's moving pretty good without having a move up by Bitcoin, like you said. Bitcoin's pretty flat.
Yeah, there you go. The breakout on McDonald's, 26.50 now. That was a breakout.
Save now up 26.54% here today. I'm going to keep an eye on Solar today. Might be Time to put a little close in.
296.60 now on McDonald's. So there you go.
Wow.
If those
Yeah.
of you who wanted to buy that dip, there you go. You got it.
Yeah.
297 now on McDonald's. So there was the buy. Man, I should have held on, huh?
Like you've said, you never in a market like this, don't be afraid to take profit, right? Steve, you concerned about I know at 10 o'clock we got coming up here home builds. You gonna be watching that number at all?
Yeah, no, I think that with rates the way they are right now, and and there it is, 4.2568 down the highs on 10-year. Yeah, I mean, people aren't able to buy them. I think people want to refi. They want to do all those things that they thought ain't gonna happen. It's quite frankly what it is.
Right.
And
Yeah, mortgages are down, down, down. Saw some reports there from the Mortgage Bankers Association yesterday that application volume was down again last week. So
298 on Mickey D's here. And I got to step off here. Howard, I think we're going to let Mr. My friend for many, many years now at this point, Mr. Currency himself coming in, Steve Flanagan, and take a victory lap on the dollar, pushing higher above the one. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but I got to step off here, and we'll see you guys later.
see you later, Steve. Steven, I'm gonna bring you right in here. Give me 1 second, my friend. There we go. I got you in here. Get your name on there, and then I don't know where I went. So maybe we don't want to see me. Give me one
Yeah,
second. I don't know why I disappeared all of a sudden.
I can see you, Howard.
Yeah, I know it's. Oh, yeah, but it's. Oh, there we go. Let me just change it. We're gonna go with this one. We're gonna take Steve off of that. Then there we go. I see where you're at. Give me 1 second here.
Nothing like putting a finance guy behind the technical controls, huh?
Yeah, and I'm having, I will say it's like, you can't win sometimes. I have had computer problems today, just out of the blue, for no reason. There we go. Now we have it with your name actually on there, although I spelt it wrong. Let me fix that. Jeez, can't take me anywhere.
And I've been
Well,
listening in. You guys have had a great show so far.
thank you so much. While we have you on, I don't know if you heard, Big Beat, of course, took all of my questions already that I had for you and made them his own. So first one was, man, you nailed DXY. Not that we expect anything less from our FX expert, but I mean that thing followed exactly what you were saying.
Yeah, we caught a nice little play there from the 100 low levels. Um, I'd like to, I would have thought 104.50. We've kind of hit the objective. I had an extension point to 104.80. Um, Certainly, put a little asterisk near 104.80 because that would the next launch site would be a break there. Let's add a bit of discretion. 104.85, 87. You break there, you're looking at a 106. As been characterized by this move, it has been a nonstop no look back, which is very symptomatic of a market that is just not positioned.
It's
So
funny you say that. A couple of things that Steve and I were talking about earlier today was corporate insider buying's at like a 3-year low. So the people on the inside aren't buying stocks. What I also saw is though that asset managers are almost at an all-time high in long S&P positions. So, my concern is that they're going to run out of, it's the old, the market you'll run out of money before the market runs out of the wrong direction, so to speak. Do we, I think we're prime. Steve's been talking about for this 10-20% pullback. We've seen some big names, Bill Ackman. We saw John Paul Tudor yesterday, calling for pullbacks. What are you seeing out there in the markets?
you know, anybody who's got a historical perspective of the market would definitely look at this as an overextension. However, there are a number of factors that even the old timers would miss. And I'm not saying I'm not. I kind of think that what we're in the process of seeing is a correlation trading environment that is breaking down. Highlight: market interest rates are going up
Right.
and inflation is going down. And the foundation of a trading decision relies on some data, and that data normally has to be sensible. I get very worried. You guys hit on a point earlier today: psychology. I'll take it to emotion. Emotional trading, when you begin to throw in these elements of fear, are the worst conditions for a market forecaster to try to predict.
Yeah, I mean it is because we don't know it can change at anything. What's the next news or data point that causes that, that optimism to turn the other way, and when it does it's usually that's when we talk about the stairs up and the elevator down, and I think that's what a lot of people are warning of. And again, we saw it, the Norwegian sovereign fund, 1.8 trillion dollars in AUM. They said it's, right now it's not a good time to be overly set to to that side, to have equities that overblown. And then another question I have is, bond traders, Mr. Orr tells me they're the smartest guys in the business. Why are junk bonds holding up so well with regular treasury, with yields moving up also?
Yeah, well, I'm not a proponent of that bond guy theory. Okay. I mean, this is a market that is being force fed, government bonds, and there's a bid offer spread that they're involved in all the time. So I'm not so certain that these gurus have insights, because I would think that this move back up in interest rates, they've all missed it. What is at the basis of this move? It is the beginning. Howard, if we speak for the next 5 years, okay, you will hear me permeate this subject more and more. What is at the base of all of this psychology changes that can move markets in a nanosecond is the debt levels throughout the world. You're already beginning to see this with the China trade.
Right.
The markets are very fearful of China. Another factor in this dollar index is markets are selling off the Singapore, the Australian, the New Zealand, the currencies that are all in this China trade basket. Where are they going? They're coming into the dollar. The dollar has, and this move in the dollar index we've
You can
highlighted,
see it.
it's got safe haven all over it. And the correlations, now you're seeing Bitcoin drop, you're seeing interest rates move higher, and you're seeing the dollar staying firm. I kind of think that we've enough is enough. I'm echoing in that camp of look out for this correction, because we are in an overextended nature right now. But the moves that are the worst is when all the people on the sidelines suddenly hit FOMO and they've
Right.
got to get back involved, right? Because they
Yeah.
all are judged on a performance number. And if
Sure.
the market continues, all this capital that is on the sidelines is going to get forced back in. I don't think that that's going to happen right here. The U.S. election under 2 weeks. I would say the yellow flags to me are up. Caution is in the wind.
I love that call. I'm there with you. I've tightened things up. I'm keeping some powder on the sidelines to reload if needed, and if I see a good opportunity, I want to get in there. I had mentioned Boeing this morning was one I was looking at. I think I got to see them settle the labor dispute here maybe today. Hopefully, is what we're hoping to see that. But I think that they're one prime to maybe make a move back up. And what I'm also doing is trying to taking a look and putting together a wish list. This is the time of year that, or not time of the year, but when a market to me seems overblown, I'll start to put together a wish list of what do I want to see, um, come down to what level where I feel comfortable in buying back into them. And there's a few, things I'd like to get into that I'm not into right now in different sectors of the market. So do you do that in this type of environment?
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree that there's a wish list out there. The problem is that's another emotion, and hope is the worst emotion to place into a trading market. I am hoping that there's some sort of um, you know calming of the markets here happens. However, when you see Bank of Canada cut cut a quarter, a quarter, a quarter in three successive meetings,
Right.
and then hit you over the head with a 0.5%. When you see the European Central Bank suddenly now having calls throughout many of the particular, like Bank of Portugal, Centeno, coming out and saying the option of a 0.5% cut in the December meeting, which is December 12th, is now on the table. When you see Christine Lagarde suddenly saying the directions of rates is clear, okay, lower, duh, but the pace is dependent, and clinging to these, slogans that just are horrible for them to cling to, you begin to get worried. And I believe that that is the underlying current that is, the psychology that Steve talked about is in the market. Fear is beginning to permeate through the markets as to what is going on. We talked about the last time we hooked up, it's every man for themselves.
Sure.
and,
we
and and that's the way the markets are beginning to trade. The correlations are breaking down. When correlations break down, you've got to hit the exit, and you got to hope you're going out that exit door in the front of the herd.
You just nailed it. That's a great soundbite right there. I'm sure we'll be using, but it is so important when you start to see the cracks in the foundation. Get out of the house.
Yeah.
That's what I think a lot of people are starting to see. A lot of people are starting to be more, in tune to, and that we'll see that change within the marketplace that takes on when that psychology changes. We have
And,
bricks coming up, so I gotta hit that up with you. You are the man when it comes to currencies. Does this thing have any legs? Does it matter? I think it does. I think it's something that they're gonna push. I don't know if they can push it over to actually make it something, but they're gonna try, right?
absolutely. I mean, let's understand. They started in 2006, right? So it was Brazil, Russia, India, and China, called BRIC, and those were the BRIC nations. In 2009, they took in South Africa and then became BRICS with an S. The 24 members are now meeting in Moscow for 3 days. So they'll conclude their meeting tomorrow. Do we get a statement? I don't know. Should I expect a major change? Absolutely not, because 24 nations, they're not, they had a tough time agreeing who was going to attend. But
Right.
the aim of the BRIC nation bloc is to challenge the economic and political monopoly of the West. So while I don't expect anything from this meeting, it is something to keep out there. They are trying to operate in other currency pairs. They would like to have oil, which many of them already do, exchanged in local currencies. Saudi Arabia was part of that agreement.
Right.
So it is something to keep in mind. But this particular meeting, would be honestly surprised if we see a very succinct statement coming out.
Well, that's good because I was a little nervous, to be honest with you, that we maybe would that maybe this is the timing. We've seen Putin sort of on the offensive a little bit. We've seen China and their displays recently in Taiwan. Is it sort of them sort of putting their foot down? Iran needs something to rally around, I guess, right now, right? So that was the
That's
only
right.
thing there. I thought there's a lot of geopolitical bad news in all of those countries pretty much across the board outside of Brazil. And and then Argentina refused to come to this event. I saw something on that. And I guess that's
Yep.
something I would ask is that where I would start to get more nervous if we see more of the Latin American and Central American countries sort of get on board there since they are in the West?
Steve, Howard, this is a topic that one has to follow. Yes, you'll get more Latin American nations joining in on it unless the United States opens up its sphere of influence and maybe starts getting a more decisive policy towards South America. It seems that our policy there has been languishing, and
Yeah.
hence it is very ripe for a BRIC nation, to make inroads. The topic isn't going away. It will become more and more of an offset to the dollar, and other investment opportunities, the exchange of money. So it is something. Let's keep our eyes on it. But I don't. Again, with all these nations, expect any changes to be slow.
Right. They move at glacier paces, as we've seen when it comes to the
Exactly.
EU, even on decisions. Uh, there, as you add more bureaucracy, it makes it a little bit harder. I wonder too how much of that's top driven down, and if that would scare away some of the smaller countries. And what I mean there is if Russia, China, India start to try to control it too much, they say, hey, this is the same. All I got is a new master. Instead of it being the West, it's you.
I think what you'll see, how it is, if we begin to hit a crisis type situation, if this debt issue, which is coming more and more to the forefront, but that may take several years to play out. But if we begin to get into some sort of market driven, um, you know, catalyst, that may be the window that opens where the BRIC nations step in a more decisive nature as an alternative to the system that's available right now. But this is something that will take years in which to translate.
Well, that's good to know. It gives us a little bit more of a calming effect as we look at that.
But in
Uh,
the meantime, Howard, let's keep our eye on the currencies. And for your listeners, this is why I stress money moves first. Keep your eye on the currency markets. This whole type of play, you've got the dollar yen. Remember, we were just talking 3 weeks ago.
152.95. I literally just moved it onto the screen here for us because I was going to ask about that next.
Right, and that was up at 53 and a half. So you are literally 6.5 big figures below where the Central Bank of Japan, intervened to sell the dollar and buy yen. And only 3 weeks, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about a yen carry trade going back to 125, 130.
Right.
So what dollar yen tells you is that this equity market boom that we have been in is going to continue. Watch the dollar yen. If that begins to top here, that might be a signal that the pressure of this particular move, interest rates come back down, the dollar yen comes back down, equity markets go sideways to lower. That's the way currencies can help your day-to-day trading.
Right. Absolutely. And you can see we had that 149, 37, 38 level as the key resistance here. And it blasted through it in the last 3 days. You can see it used it exactly as a springboard up to this next level. And, is this one that you can see getting up as high as 157.30 here at the next sort of, that's what I would be looking at as sort of the next level there.
It's very possible, but I get very leery because the yen is a very controlled currency within probably a 20 to 30 big figure range.
Right.
And Japan has already indicated in excess of 160 is not something they're looking to tolerate. Other things to keep on. Dollar Canada now. If you get much above this 138, 40, 50 zone, you could see an explosion up to 140. Sterling, the situation. You've got European countries growing at 0.2 and 0.3%, and they're happy with that.
Right.
These are big problems. You could see sterling once it gets down below a 129.20 level, that could have a sharp move down to 126. So you have hit a point right here where I would hope calmness prevails. We begin to see some sort of sell offs and taking profits in the marketplace. But we are not far at all in the currency markets from seeing a further extension to this breakdown in the correlations in the marketplace.
Yeah, and we've definitely seen that breakdown in correlations as gold, silver, Bitcoin,
Yeah.
treasuries, and stocks were all moving up together, now sort of all moving down together. What we're seeing is I think we're seeing different levels of fear hit at different levels of the market, so to speak, in that we're seeing some bigger players starting to pull some money out, and that's what's hurting us here. I don't think the retail investors gotten spooked yet. They still, they tend to have a permeable view of the markets a lot of times, unfortunately, for that retail trader. They don't say
Yeah.
play the market in front of them sometimes, and that's what worries me. So that's why I love having you on to explain how these currencies will affect the prices of stocks also, and how they provide either that tailwind under us or that they give us that headwind above us. And I think what we're seeing right now is in a lot of this, outside of that Japan carry trade maybe be coming back into vogue, which could help bring money into the stock market. Most of them are more headwinds than tailwinds right now, I think is what you're saying. Is that sort of accurate?
Yes, that's very accurate.
See, I listen to you. I listen,
Yeah,
Stephen.
yeah, well done, Howard.
It does. It only takes me 6 months or so, but I get there.
Uh,
Kicking and screaming the whole way. You know,
I worry that when the markets begin to make breakout patterns, such as equity, gold, you name it, each market. If you look at all these markets, they're all at this extension point of looking like, wow, this thing could really go a lot further. And I always worry, in particular, with the geopolitics on the horizon here. We don't know, is Israel going to strike? We don't
right?
know what was the extent of the damage within Israel with all these missiles. How many got?
Sure.
We don't know. Ukraine, Russia. But on the top of the cherry, on top of this, is under 2 weeks you have a U.S. election.
Right.
Anybody who witnessed the market reaction in 2016 knows that, I want to make sure, as you said, I want to make sure I have my powder dry going
Yeah.
into that.
And
And these
I
markets,
I don't think we've seen an election that's been more up in the air. The last three have been up in the air. Last four have been
right?
up in the air, but a lot of them were predetermined by the press already. This is
That's
one
right.
where we're not seeing that, where no one's taking a stand one way or the other. We saw it, the biggest downfall, of course, being Hillary. She was, that was almost to Dewey levels of, she's winning, she's dominating, first female, all this stuff, and then poof.
Yeah.
That
Look,
night I watched people. Was living in DC at that point, and if there were these celebration parties already starting at 4 in the afternoon that were sort of winding down by 8 p.m. because it wasn't going that way. And I do think
precisely.
that we're going to see that in 2 weeks, that's going to be a day that's going to be really interesting. And it probably won't get settled that day. This is probably,
No.
again, another election will have a few days. Economic calendar, what do we have coming up worldwide? Anything I need to be on the lookout for here through the rest of the week,
Um,
beginning of next week?
the only thing on my mind right now are the earnings reports that come out and how they're going to shake out in the market. And again, I look at the wet towel ahead of us, and that's the U.S. election.
Absolutely.
You have two macro issues that will dominate on one side, without picking a political candidate. On one side, you have tariffs. On the other side, you have taxes.
Right.
And both of those issues, depending on the outcome, are going to have market impact.
That's what we were talking about today, is that, either side is going to have a negative effect on the market momentarily. but neither, I think, has a policy that will immediately cause a huge concern one way or the other. It's not like tariffs
Well,
are going to happen overnight. He's got to get in office. He's still got a month or so, 2 months for that all to play out first. And the same thing, she isn't going to immediately raise taxes. So, that's where prudence sometimes I think needs to be taken also.
agree, but it all would depend upon the result.
Yeah.
If you have a 50.1 to 49.9 result, I agree 100% with you. But if you have a 53-47 result, then somebody's going to feel that they have a more an
And a
authority
mandate.
or a mandate exactly to push through
Right.
those policies. So again, that's volatility.
Yeah.
Volatility is percolating below us right now, and it's just waiting for that next data point.
Absolutely. And I think the other part there too is we'll see, do we get a split government, hopefully? Because that would also, ventilate it. If we see a blue wave take over all three areas or a red wave take two of the three, we could see it, definitely even exasperate the issue even more so than just the presidential election. There's the Senate races and the House, of course, too. Well, Stephen, we've hit our time here for today's talk. You will be back Friday with us. I'm excited. I have a bunch more questions I've already been working up here. Got some questions on the Canadian dollar I want to ask about with trade and NAFTA next time. So get all dwelled up on Mexico and Canada. That's going to be our Friday spoiler.
Oh, awesome. Great. I'll be ready.
See you soon, my friend.
Okay.